hearing me okay? I hope yes. When you find people say, hi, Cliff, for you. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. We'll have an issue with those earbuds. Pull away, right? They start using the big earphones, headphones on here, guys. It's annoying. Pulls away from my mic. All right, there you go. Hey, how we're doing? Oh, look, it looks like we may be on the wrong camera. Am I on the wrong camera? The right camera? No, I'm on the. Yep. Where? Huh? How's it going, guys? It's always something, but you're back here with me, which is awesome. Let me make sure that the camera's all set up as it should be. Let's go to those settings. Yeah, FaceTime camera. We don't want that. What do you know? We fixed it. Oh my God. In real time, guys. Amazing. Cliff Schechter, how much could you trouble could you get in for putting a contact number after your rants? I'm not sure what you mean by trouble. I think a lot of people are going to come and yell at me. Neck? Is there something wrong with my neck? I don't know. Could that be where the microphone is? Could it be the... My God, there's always something going on here. Maybe that's this. Who knows? Is that better? Do I have a real neck now? How's it going, guys? Well, there's a lot going on out there. Elon Musk has become officially the president of the United States. I think we all know that. We've got Donald Trump yelling and screaming and, forgot his trust and acting like he's going to go and redneck Cliff. Oh my God, you guys are still doing that. All right. Now I'm messing with the microphone because of you. What is going on? Am I over here? Is my neck better? Whoa. I don't know what the whole thing is with, never being able to get this right, but it's been quite a journey, hasn't it? How's that? Better neck? Worse neck? Necrophobia? It's definitely lighting. I changed some things around here. You know what? Let's do this. Let's mess around in real time. See what we can do. Because why not? I'm giving up on everything else. Has that changed anything? Still looking red? Great. I know you guys love me. I love you too. So I look normal now. So my neck was red before. Do you think that was the microphone? Unfrickin' believable. Hey, look, if you want comedy, quite clearly, I will always provide it for you. So that light probably was higher before and therefore not shining down on me here. Watch this. I'm going to be very crafty. Hold on. All right. What do we think now? Has anything changed? Red neck, no neck? Get a shirt over that chair. Oh, come on, man. I like that chair. It makes me a regular guy. I don't have to go buying a new chair just because a few things are falling off of it, do I? Some shadows from the mic still. It's really kind of incredible. Again, and I had somebody come in and sort of help me out with this. I don't want to mess with this too much because you may lose me. Maybe we'll do our first rant later in the program today, and we'll just spend this time with you guys telling me what I need. So I need time. I need to fix my chair. I need to fix the mic. Ooh, how about this? Good? What do you think? Are you finding black bits in other places? I actually am. But I've seen that as sort of a challenge. Like I want to, I want to do this in a way where I don't have to just go get a new chair every time, right? Okay. So we're gonna move to where I know I normally sit. We're gonna see if taking this back here, what does that do? And how do you think? We love your redneck. Damn it, I'm a redneck. Tony's the one who's supposed to be a redneck, not me. And my neck isn't even red. So like, what the hell's going on here? Go ahead and start your show. Okay, guys, sorry, just having some fun. All right, let's get to Elon Musk. How about that? Let's talk about him. Elon Musk was never elected president of the United States, though he is. Elon Musk was never appointed to a committee that actually exists. It has a stupid name from a dog meme from like 15 years ago. And it is a stupid coin that he created because he had uncle jokes, thought he was funny on Twitter. Nobody found him funny, and then he bought the damn thing. It's kind of like how when Obama made fun of Trump for his tough decisions on The Apprentice, and he had to go and become president. We had to all make fun of Elon's crappy uncle jokes and then get stuck with him as like, yeah, get stuck with Elon as our he's certainly commander in chief in some form right now, and he's treasurer in chief. So he's broken into the treasury, highway robbery. In fact, actually, it is robbery. He has illegally broken in. This, according to Jamie Raskin, I'll quote him here for you. Elon Musk, you may have illegally seized power of our financial systems of the treasury, but you don't control the money of the American people. Congress does that. We don't have a fourth branch of government called Elon Musk. The problem is we do right now. It's not really a fourth branch. He's the president. He can do whatever he wants. And Donald Trump, as long as he needs him to get elected, needs Twitter, needs Elon Musk's money, needs his propaganda, he's not going to do anything. Musk has brought in this gang of galoots, this group of 19-year-olds, this group of incels. I think Democrats need to learn to insult Republicans better. Hell, Denver Riggleman, if you know who he is, who's a never Trumper, used to be a Republican, he's pretty moderate Republican from Virginia. I believe he referred to Elon Musk as an incel trapped inside a billionaire's body. That's who he is. He's that person that nobody paid attention to in high school. He was a loser. He was somebody that nobody liked. His own dad has told us that. And probably in today's atmosphere in America would be considered a danger to do something bad at a high school, if you know what I'm saying. YouTube won't let me say it. So proving that he's lawless, proving he respects nothing, they went to the Treasury. Treasury officials said to them, you're not getting into that sensitive information. Elon Musk was like, Donnie, he won't let me in, and I'm going to have to spend billions against you. And they threatened him, the guy, rather than let Elon in, resigned. And now all of the payment systems in the Treasury, they have access to. They're apparently rewriting code, dangerous as hell if you don't know what you're doing. Again, a bunch of 19-year-olds. We don't even know who they are. They haven't been vetted. Do they have Russian contacts, Chinese contacts? I don't know that it matters because we already know that Elon Musk is controlled by those two countries. Elon Musk, when Russia says take down Starlink for Ukraine, he asks them how high he should jump. China, we know he's got his gigafactory in Shanghai, and we know that he's alienated every single person here who actually would be interested in buying one of his electric vehicles. So what do you do when you have no domestic no domestic buyers anymore? You need China to step in and buy a lot of them from you. He is like worse than a monopoly. He has so many conflicts of interest. He's corrupt. He's evil. He's endorsed a Nazi party in Germany. He's saluted like a Nazi, and he has control of any payments the government's ever made to you and your information. Have you ever done anything for the government? You ever been a consultant? You ever worked with the government? Had a direct deposit? I did some stuff, ironically, in democracy promotion about 20 years ago. Went to Romania, some other countries. They should have sent me for democracy promotion, like right here to Ohio and to Alabama and to Oklahoma and to Missouri and to, God knows how many places, because apparently Romania, who canceled their election after they saw the Russians interfered, are doing a much better job of it than we are. My point is the State Department paid me some money. And because of that, he has access to my information, just like any of you who've been connected there. It's illegal. Again, was not elected. You need a Senate to confirm any agency. It never created this stupid Doge, stupid coin agency joke that he's running right now. He is a private citizen who has walked in and taken control without constitutional authority. He and his little incel friends. And they can be looking through all of your private payments, getting to your banking statements. HIPAA, it's a law. They're not allowed to look at your private medical information. Well, he is in Medicare and Medicaid, so he's looking at your private medical information. So I don't know how many laws he's broken at this point, but it's a lot. Democrats, listen to me. This is your best messaging opportunity ever because pure evil is going on right now. We are experiencing a coup, and I'm not exaggerating. This is a coup. They can get information on people to threaten them. They can steal things from people. They can God knows what they can find out. Your medical information as a blackmail. Um, Democratic attorneys general, if you haven't yet, all of you file suit. These payments go across state lines. Take this to a federal court. Instead of hearing from Chuck Schumer saying, oh, well, Congress is going to take up legislation. Yes, take up legislation. Legislation is a way that you can get cameras in front of you and make an argument. We need spectacle, though. We need you standing outside of the Treasury and screaming for Elon to get out, members of Congress. All right. We need what we saw from Jamie Raskin, Brian Schatz already is showing what, in Congress going after Republicans, where he's has put a hold on State Department officials moving forward. Like these are the kinds of moves we need. We need Democrats to play like Republicans, but for good, not for bad. Please, you've got to do this. Or I mean, again, the amount of damage he can do in just weeks, days to our system. People's payments can disappear. People's personal information can be sold on the dark web. Again, I don't know how many of these kinds of things I need to go through for you to understand what it is that we've got going on here. But this is a coup. None of these people were vetted. We don't know. They could be filling their own accounts with our money. Sue him. The IGs who refuse to leave, they try to get rid of the IGs in every department. Treasury has one. Step up. Have a press conference. We have a divided government, and we have all of these various parts of our government to work this way for a reason. So power is diffuse. We need more agencies speaking out, more folks in government speaking out, more people resigning, but doing it with a press conference, not quietly. This is a 5-alarm fire. There will be many of them during this ridiculous, childish, clownish administration run by two of the biggest buffoons in the world. It doesn't change the fact that they are there and they are doing this. And we somehow, people we knew, stupidly elected them. So stop them now, Democrats, before it's too late, because guess who else's information they're getting their hands on? Yours, if you're a Democratic elected official. Maybe that will get you to move. That's all I've got to say about that, as Forrest Gump would say. You said to me, who said that? Law enforcement? Yeah, well, I would think local DC law enforcement, he broke into a building, right? I don't know what kind of autonomy they have, but they should have enough to do something, right? I don't know. I'm gonna. Hello? Hello, hello, hello? You can hear me. You can hear me. I know you can because it's telling me that you can hear me. That's what I got from moving the mic. Oh, this is driving me nuts. Okay. What if I sit up like this? No, it doesn't help. Okay. Let's talk about the important things, and we won't worry about like a little bit of a shadow on me right now and all of that. Let's worry about what Elon Musk is doing. Who in here has ideas? Because we need them now. I've given you what mine are. I'm a PR guy. I believe in the power of spectacle to attract media attention. I believe in the power, Raskin, Schatz, Chris Murphy's been incredible. AOC, they should all honestly go and stand outside the Treasury office, bring with them individuals who maybe have lost payments and don't know where they are or deserve payments, hold an event and start screaming and yelling. Okay. Maybe some of them should dress up in 1920s flapper type outfits and go show up there from before we had banking regulations. Maybe some of them should dress up as crashing Wall Street stocks. I don't care what you do. Get their attention. Okay? We have to now. Um, that guy has obviously got some agenda and it is not good. You are very much let's say being optimistic there, Lefty Grams. His agenda, he's made very clear. He's part of the bro tech oligarch freaking fascist group. Their little leader there, Peter Thiel, and JD Vance is part of that, so that's nice. Wants to live forever and probably would experiment on any of us if he could, if that's what he had to do to get there. We're mush to him. He said it. He doesn't believe in democracy because democracy and capitalism can't work together, so he chooses capitalism. Elon Musk thinks that they want the whole country run on Bitcoin. They want to destroy the dollar. So every time you see one of these things happening again, it's like the old Nixon thing, right? It used to be follow the money. Now it's follow the Bitcoin, follow the crypto. What is it they're doing and why are they doing it? What is it they want? When the stock market crashes because Trump announces a bunch of tariffs and then he goes back on the next day, do you think some of Trump's people sold the market short right before that because they knew? Again, you have to think like they do. They are the most corrupt people imaginable. We have dictators. We have the lowest form of people in running our government. Scumsuckers, bottom dwellers, the types of people that when you've read any book or watched anything on any country taken over by the worst dictators, that is what we have in control. The only thing holding us together right now is our history as a constitutional republic. And that there are some people in some positions of power that are suing and preventing the worst. Otherwise, right now with Trump winning, if this had happened in many another country, I'm not talking about Western countries, but various other countries, we right now would be in full dictatorship. I guarantee you that. So we need to do everything, right? So I'm open, man. Ideas. Elon bought off all law enforcement, Gracie says, and I think that there's a good chance that that's true. Law enforcement is just the latest. But I do think states' attorneys general, because again, across state lines, they should file a joint suit. Remember when all these right-wing attorneys general did that on things like, crazy stuff like abortion rights and marriage equality? Get out there and do it. Go after them right now. Emergency injunction in court, whatever. I'm not a lawyer. If it's emergency injunction, to kick his ass out of the building. And I want someone to go arrest him. I want the police in DC to go file charges. If it turns out that he gets released later, fine. Turns out that we can't hold him there because they don't have the purview to do it. Show up now with your badges and your guns and go in and arrest him and this group of little incels he surrounded himself with because they remind him of himself. They just want to be billionaires too because they're little pathetic losers who know the only way they can get people to laugh at their jokes, spend time around them, or give them like 14 kids like Elon is, of course, if they have lots of money. That's it. It's the only reason Elon has a modicum of respect in the world. And it's not real respect. It's fake respect on the surface. And you guys all know that. Incredible. I can't believe we're actually talking about these things. I can't believe we're in this situation. I can't believe any of it, but it is what it is. We're here. What do you got? Give me ideas. Stop sane washing this crazy shit. I assume you're not talking to me, Lefty Grams, because I ain't seen washing anything. Honestly, this is the most dangerous thing they have done yet. This is from a group of people that do dangerous things literally every day. And again, my rant before was a bit discombobulated because I let this stupid thing annoy me, but I think you got the key points. I'll probably redo one later so that I can release as a video because it's really, really pretty simple and straightforward. Elon Musk is unelected. Elon Musk is not technically appointed. There is no agency created by the Senate. Elon Musk is a joke. Elon Musk is a propaganda agent. Elon Musk is a known agent, or at least working on some level with Putin. Elon Musk is known to be like owned by China. Elon Musk seems to be seriously mentally ill, vast narcissism. Really, he's a younger, like less charismatic version of Donald Trump. That's what he is. It's amazing. He's Donald Trump, but actually without the right-wing charisma that appeals to them and none of us. And he's younger. Same thing. He's the same dude. private citizen, all of that this is, you might as well call the guys who went in with them the plumbers for you older folks there, because that's what this is. This is no different. And as I remember there, a local cop caught them and arrested them. So unless it's that they're in a federal building and that changes the rules, local cops can arrest them. What do we got? Sheldon Hughes gave me that kind gift you gave me. Awesome. Mr. Stoner Dude, we already talked about you. Thank you. So somebody will have a free membership, and Sheldon coming through as always. I really appreciate it, my friend. I'm really actually somewhat overwrought just by this topic. I mean, there's plenty of other stuff going on out there, and when we get we've got two great guests. I should have mentioned that at the beginning too. I sort of got, guys, I'm always sort of like going back and forth between like picture okay, now we'd fix the lights, I thought, is the mic working? It's crazy, the multiple things here. And I do think, I keep saying I'm gonna get a new computer and keep not wanting to get a new computer, and probably should get a new computer, because I think that is the problem with the connectivity here. And then I think that stops being an issue, and then you can adjust all the rest. And this thing looks stupid in the camera image, but it is what it is. So I don't know. What do we do? I could try to get into Trump and the tariffs, but I'd like to do a longer talk about that. In his case, he's got I'm trying so slowly. In his case, and again, I don't want to go too much, but bravado, this faux masculine, faux bravado, masculine toxicity, the toxic masculinity, I said it backwards, coming from the right. Like, we've discussed this before, and Trump thinks standing up, puffing out your chest, saying you're going to do something, and then caving at the last minute is that. We're going to get into more details on that too, because that is literally insane. We've got Democrats voting for Republican nominees. Why? Why would you do that? Again, like, this is supposed to be, we're talking about, this is an illegitimate fascist administration run by somebody who should have been prevented by the 14th Amendment from ever running if Merrick Garland did his job. Somebody who had been twice impeached, and 7 Republicans voted to convict one time, and convicted of numerous crimes and rape. And I don't even need to go through all the rest. He is an illegitimate president. Elon Musk isn't anything, although he is president. And I do encourage you to use that more and say that Elon Musk is president, because one of the ways we may get rid of Elon Musk and his danger is Donald Trump will get tired of it. So if you have a Substack, write about him, put him on the cover of your blog, put him on the cover, just President Elon Musk everywhere. Seriously. That may be our best way, our best weapon, because Donnie will lose it. Create a fake Time magazine cover, put it out there with Elon Musk on the cover. I promise you Trump will believe it until his people tell him it's fake, and then he still might believe it. And then maybe eventually he'll stop believing it, but he'll still be enraged for a couple hours, because that's how he operates. But senators I like, Mark Kelly from Arizona. Remember Mark Kelly, the good one from Arizona? Not like Kirsten Sinema. He's been voting for these people. What is he doing? Why? I mean, I get it. He didn't vote for Hegseth, didn't vote for, the worst, but he's voting for some of them. None of them deserve our votes. I see that Blue Gal is here a little bit early, and Drift Glass can't be far behind, probably. So I'm going to add them because they're very smart. And I would like to talk to you guys. At least of all, if you can sort of, help me out in the fact that I've been doing a live stream now for 4 or 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
Either my microphone cuts out on me, or I had somebody fix the lights because they were too bright. Mm-hmm. Now, one of the lights over here, which it wasn't doing last week, so I must have moved something, is like putting a shadow on my neck that apparently makes it look red. Like, I just can't seem to get it right.
Welcome to podcasting.
I'm a writer, write at Substack. I used to write for the Daily Beast and all that stuff. I didn't have to worry about any of this stuff. And then when they invited me on TV, like they set all that stuff up for me.
Yep. Yep. Welcome to entrepreneurship.
Right. And it drives me, I have to admit, it drives me crazy. And so I have to worry, if I move this mic, will people still be able to hear me? If they stop hearing me, you keep talking.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. Are we live on YouTube right now?
We are.
Are we allowed to swear?
Within reason.
I understand.
They demonetize me if it gets too crazy.
Yeah, I got you.
Some of it. I mean, again, Substack will soon allow you to live stream there. I'm buying into Substack in a huge way.
Okay.
I've gotten there. I've got almost 3,000 subscribers. You all please subscribe to my Substack. And I've got a big newsletter I've been doing through a CRM. It's a long, long story that I'll probably transfer over there. So there should be a robust growth, you could call it, there.
Cool.
Right. I'm also encouraging people to sign up at Patreon, anywhere. See, my concern here, and now I see the ever great drift class, and then we're going to get you guys to introduce yourselves.
Okay.
And see, he doesn't have a microphone like doing a shadow on his face because he's smarter than I am. But there you go. One eye. Wait, were you trying to be Dan Crenshaw there? Okay. I can't make those. I can't make those jokes. Oh no, that's right.
I'm trying to be Odin. That's all.
Dan Crenshaw will run to Saturday Night Live and say I was being ableist or something instead of, even though he's made 50 different videos, those fake Mission Impossible videos where he takes off his thing and so he plays it up all the time, but you can't mention it.
No.
Just so we all know. Oh, here's why I love you guys. And I'm going to let you each, if you guys don't know who these guys are, they are OG bloggers. And they're two of the best. If you listen to Bob Seska's show, you've probably heard them plenty. I'll have to give people the sad news today, which maybe that's why my microphone keeps being put in the wrong place or whatever. But I've been added and loved every minute of it as a co-host of sorts on Bob's Tuesday show, but I'm stepping back from that. Because I'm going to be going on like you guys as a guest. I used to have a monthly guest because I am overwhelmed.
Yep. Gotcha.
I am doing 3 of these 2-hour live streams, and I'm trying to produce what I call takedown videos where I go after the bad guys, the ones that tend to do well on YouTube, but also make me feel good, where I rip the shit out of them for about, 7 to 12 minutes. I'm trying to grow Substack. Trying to giving extra content to the Patreon and YouTube members, though I'm pushing Patreon much more because, again, I don't trust any big corporation, and the fact that I don't have anybody's information on YouTube and they could shut it down tomorrow and everything would be gone.
Right.
Patreon and Substack, you get emails. You have an actual relationship, and that is why I'm in those platforms. I know people brought up the fact that Substack allows Nazis on, allows anybody on. I'm not a fan of that. But I will tell you, as somebody who's been on there in my notes section there, which is a lot like Twitter, you don't see any of them because the algorithm isn't trying to encourage conflict. Right. It is trying to let you see your people, share your stuff. And so nothing's going to be perfect in this world, but they have been they have been amenable. They've actually responded. I've never gotten a human to respond when they've demonetized something on here. And I
seriously,
I send something to the chat and their chat, and I'm not sure if it's a bot or a human. They come off the same there, and they basically just sit there and say to me along the lines of, you violated our community, guidelines, go back and read them. I'm like, I've read them 8,000 frickin' times.
Well, we have worse than that.
What word I use.
We have worse than that, Cliff. We've been trying to just get the money from monetizing our YouTube channel, and we've only got about $60 in there, so they're not going to pay us till we've got 100. But they won't take my tax form. They won't take any proof of who I am or what my company is or anything.
5 times.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you 2 things here. So this ends up being a how-to for people in addition to everything else. One, if you're not on Substack, I would recommend they're going to add a video component.
Okay.
I would absolutely recommend you open one because, again, you need, even if you're going to build on YouTube, you need a backup.
Yep.
2, that you're going to have to go through, just to be prepared that you're going to have to go through all sorts of crap like this with YouTube. Again, nobody human ever answers you. When they done the thing, and they're like, you said something wrong. There's
Yeah,
all sorts
right.
of things, like something that rhymes with a rovid that was a disease, but I can't say on here because of conspiracy theories, or
Right.
something that rhymes with Maxine that you might get to help you if you have that. I can't say that on here because they'll assume. So one time I talked about an election that happened, a presidential election that happened between 2016 and 2024. I don't even know if I can say it. And somebody's lies about that and was debunking them. And their AI heard it as I was sharing conspiracies. And so for 5 or 6 days, my channel was down and I kept complaining. As the only time I ever got a human to respond, I'm like, I will keep sending it to you idiots. I was debunking it. And they finally, a day or two early, acting like, they're doing me a big favor, put it back up. Of course, that video was dead, had lost all momentum and all whatever. For a week, hadn't been able to put anything up. So do YouTube as, I think Hal Sparks has one of the best ideas. How diversifies.
Right.
And I would tell you, I'm now monetized at Twitch. I love you, my Twitch folks. I see everyone right there. And Cosmic Rose, thank you for being here. So I'm monetized there, and I'm streaming there. I will be to once I am able to. They're setting up. I will be streaming to Substack. I have to see if I can also add the stream like at the same time here as to Patreon too, or I have to do those separately. If I can do those through, I'm going to do that because I've got a Patreon, obviously. But don't put all your eggs in one basket. We've seen ABC News is 15 million. We've seen where what's his name? Owens, the one at CBS, refuses to apologize to Trump. CBS wants to give Trump $5 million for supposedly misreporting on Kamala Harris, which it didn't do, and it wouldn't owe him $5 million anyhow.
No,
I'm so proud of this reporter. He's now the Jim Acosta, who's going to probably end up being pushed out.
He'll be on Substack. That's where he'll be.
Well, Jim Acosta should have put Substack and had 150,000 followers.
Exactly.
He's going to make more money than he made in CNN.
Yep.
We don't need to go into the owners of the Washington Post and the LA Times. And I mean, it's, you guys and I, we've all been screaming about this stuff for years. We all tend to agree on most things. And now I've gotten this far in the program and still have not let the two of you introduce yourselves. I got all frazzled by the stupid microphone and by what Elon Musk is probably digging through right now. So tell folks who you are, who you two is. Who is you?
My dear, after you.
I am Fran, and I'm known as Blue Gal on the internet, and I have been blogging and on the internet as a political being for 20 years as of 2024. And I work as an editor for crooksandliars.com. Driftglass and I do the Professional Left podcast. We have been doing the Professional Left podcast for 15 years as of last month.
Yay.
Probably one of the oldest liberal podcasts out there.
And you guys stick to everything.
Yeah.
You don't have my ADHD.
I
literally do have
I'll tell you,
it.
my ADHD dovetails with Driftglass's OCD.
Oh,
and
see,
so
that works out nicely.
He makes sure I take my vitamins in the morning. And that's how it works. That's how our marriage works.
And I will say,
and we're married. I should say we're married.
We are married. You should know that. I mean, look at this beautiful group of people here who I love. But something else important to put in all seriousness. Like again, you started the podcast, you started the blog. The two of you guys at any given point could have sold out like so many people did have. And you've just been true and honest to what you believe, and I am so impressed by it. I would argue, if I'm arguing for me, I was always also a consultant, right?
Right.
And I was always the guy in the room telling Democrats, to hit back harder and to stay on offense and to create spectacle because mainstream media is already lined up against you. The only way you're going to get corporate media attention is if they think they'll get clicks. So you've got to create everything I was just saying. I think before you came on that we should right now, the people that have been speaking out and done, I think, a very good job in the Senate, that would be Brian Schatz, that would be Chris Murphy, Tammy Duckworth. They should all be right now outside the Treasury building. Seriously, sitting outside of there demanding the police come in and arrest. I don't know what the purview is there. If the police in a federal building have the ability to do that, I don't care. Do it anyhow, and then he'll be released later. Pull him and his little incel punks, 19-year-old unvetted losers
high school
like
graduates.
him.
High school graduates.
High school
Yes.
graduates who are going to grow up to be him. They're little losers that nobody likes, that nobody can stand, that are right-wing little creeps because they get rejected at every dance they go to, and they hate the world because of it. And you know, they're going to be arrest them.
Yeah.
All right. And I was saying, obviously, Democrats, attorney general, a general, you know, like right away, file suit immediately, injunction if you can get it, get them out of the building.
Well, there
The
is a
IG
lawsuit today. There is a lawsuit today that has been filed.
Well, I hope it's
The
one like that.
AFL-CIO has filed.
Okay.
And
I'm not a
the
lawyer,
unions, yeah,
but
the
we
unions
need
have
whatever it is that can make them immediately stop.
cease.
I don't
Right.
want one of these things bouncing around. And the only word I know of in the legal parlance is injunction. I may be using it incorrectly. I was pre-law, everyone. Did not follow up with the law school. And yet
cease and desist.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I need Driftglass to explain the who and the how and the what of him, though that's pretty close to you.
Well, throw in an Animal House joke. I thought you were pre-med. Hey, man, what's the difference?
You know what? What's hilarious is I thought of that when I said that. Because when he's up arguing in that court, I've used that scene for videos before. What's the difference? So that's the other reason. The people I get along with always have the same wavelength I have. A little pre-law, you know. In any case, go ahead.
I've been active politically as long as I can remember. I've been a blogger. I'm coming up this April. Will be my 20th year at the Cold Face.
Holy moly!
20 years me, 20 years my wife.
Yep.
I was I spun off from the now dearly departed Steve Gilliard's news blog.
Oh my God! I remember Steve. Steve was OG too.
No,
Yeah, really
totally.
Big time.
And it was a stun that, wait a minute, Steve Gilliard's black and Digby's a chick? What the hell?
That just showed that even 20 years ago, the biases of our society.
Oh God,
that we thought, you know, had to be.
Yeah. But I was at the time working for the city of Chicago in a high administrative capacity, an assistant commissioner capacity. So I did not have a lot of freedom of blogging at work, but I paid attention to things. And like my wife, even though I was very political and would have had a blog probably in 1994 if they'd been around, but it was the 2004 election that really kind of motivated me to stop commenting on blogs and start my own, because it was like, oh, the country is that stupid. Oh my God, they really are that stupid. Not all of us, mind you, because there are, as I tell all of my friends who bitch about Americans are idiots, Democrats, my God, you know, voters are dumbass. No, 75 million of us understood the assignment.
Right.
We're not the problem. The problem is the dumbasses on the other side and the bigots and the imbeciles and the mushy centrists who can't fucking make up their mind about anything.
Well, and we allow also and so I have to say, my obsessive hobby horses here I talk about constantly is our absolute ridiculous, and we allowed this to happen from the courts, people the lefted interpretation of the First Amendment.
Yeah.
Saying that allowing hate speech and disinformation to be equal to information.
Yeah.
I keep bringing it up how I went back and saw two friends I hadn't seen in 20 years. Went back to France where I studied and lived for a bit. Over the Christmas break for my kids, we all went. I got to see one Italian, one French friend. It was very reinvigorating because they're awesome and it was fun. And I sat there with them the last night that we were in Nice, heading before we all headed back up to Paris, me and my wife and kids. And we're sitting there talking about it. And my friend Guillaume, who is, by the way, is center right in France, which means he's somewhere between center left and a social democrat here. He and I agree on almost everything. And he's center right in France, just to show you how screwed our spectrum is. But he couldn't believe it when I told him the things you could say here. I mean, if you spout terrorist propaganda here online, you are arrested. Okay, a designated terrorist group. And I understand how some of these things can be abused. I'm not saying I don't, but the whole problem is, you see, is if you allow them to be abused, if you have a system where anybody can get away with saying anything, then the types of people get into power who will abuse them. If you make sure that everybody is actually getting the truth, we still have enough intelligent people in this country that we will win every time. Maybe not in Oklahoma, maybe not in Alabama, but the overall electoral college, the vast majority of the states, we will win every time, because you see it with people's positions on issues.
Right.
And so that's my problem, is that, in Germany, who seems to have some experience with this that you might want to learn from, you show a Nazi symbol like that ADF party that Elon Musk endorsed is right on the borderline of being disbanded and arrested. They've gone up to the edge of what they can say and do.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm sorry, but like, this is where I used to get pissed at the ACLU. I don't need you defending a bunch of Nazis and whatever. If you think that's their First Amendment right, you can go ahead and believe that. I actually don't, and I don't think it should be. But you know what? If that's their First Amendment right, fine. But is that where you really are choosing to put your resources, with all the things out there, with all the discrimination, with all the people who are fired because they're black or a woman or gay? That's where you're choosing, and that's my problem. But I really do. I think I've looked at how they handle this stuff. They're susceptible to Russian disinformation, to oligarch disinformation, some of the same stuff as us. But and when I say they, United Kingdom, Canada, France, they handle it so much better than we do. I'll say quickly, and I repeat this again and again. When our new ambassador to the UN engaged in the kind of hate speech with the Great Replacement theory, Elise Stefanik, that led a man to drive up to a Buffalo market and shoot innocent black shoppers for the crime of being black. There were 2 people arrested. The guy that did the shooting and a 19-year-old in the United Kingdom who encouraged him to go do it and said, you should go shoot black people. And that is illegal there. So he was sentenced to an 8 or 9 year sentence in prison. Every person online here who encouraged him to do it, free speech. You can encourage somebody to go, as long as it's not specific, as long as you don't say, go to that supermarket and do it. You can say it. I can say in general, you should go do this and you're fine. That is a ridiculous system. It is, in my opinion, you guys can argue with me, feel free to, but the extremes we've allowed in numerous areas, some of which we couldn't help because the Supreme Court, obviously with Citizens United and whatever, but we on the left are very responsible for pushing some of this free speech, as far as I consider extremism too. And it's not, it shouldn't be free speech in a civilized society. That's the way I see it.
And a lot of what happened, a lot of the German restrictions, as I understand it, along with having labor unions well represented at every bargaining table, was because we wiped the Nazis out and we rewrote their constitution. We did. We're the ones who said, no, you're not going to have Nazis flying around here anymore. That's it. That's over. And by the way, labor unions are now not just back, but they're going to be part of every corporate decision you make. Because we won and we got to do things like that. And I thought, wow, what a cool idea to apply to this country. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Wouldn't it?
I do remember, if you don't mind me taking a little trip down memory lane, something from like 1990 or 91 in the New York Times, when they first heard about this Newt Gingrich guy who was coaching Republicans to slander, attack.
I refer to him as Trump 1.0, just so you know. To me, he was the beginning. Whenever
you're in front of a microphone, it was him and Limbaugh, like 2 halves of the same evil brain. Whenever you're in front of a microphone, demonize, attack, slander. Never miss an opportunity to lie about Democrats. And the New York Times editorial was like, well, surely this can't go on. I mean, the great and good people of the United States will not tolerate. The wiser heads will prevail. I'm like, no, they won't. Nope, not. No, New York Times, you need to stop saying other people will take this battle on. This is your fight.
That's what you should be doing. Truth.
Yeah, exactly. Somewhere out there, there's a cavalry full of good and great people who apparently have media corporations who will come in and save the New York Times from having to save democracy. Never happened. Washington Post, never happened. LA Times, never happened. The network television, never happened. So we were all, not us, but because we were been writing about this for 20 years. We kept waiting for them to figure out.
We remember the aluminum tubes and we were seeing all this shit back then. So, I mean, we're, go ahead.
They're coming for you. We kept telling them, you keep telling the middle of America that it's always both sides. So they never rise up and say, no, it's just one guy. It's that side, those scumbags. Right. And you never take the threat from the right seriously. They're going to come for you eventually. You get that, right? I mean, you've read Golem or The Sorcerer's Apprentice or Frankenstein.
Maybe they haven't, and they don't seem to realize it, because it's amazing to me. Called enemies of the people. Some of them, I mean, what's her name? Who's awful? Katie, whatever her name is. I can't think of her name on is she still on MSNBC? I don't watch
her.
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
Who literally had to be escorted out of a Trump rally because people were going to kill her, and then after that kissed Trump's ass in every way she could find, because apparently that wasn't enough to convince her that we had a fascist movement rising in this country.
No.
Like again, it should have been, that's the whole thing, is that if you say you're going to cover things objectively, which actually I believe in,
Yeah.
What objectively actually believes it means, and I'll flip this on its head from what it really is to make the point. If 98.6% of the time Democrats are the ones lying and 1.4% of the time it's Republicans, then 98.6% of the time you should be reporting that Democrats are lying and 1.4% of the Republicans. That's objectivity, because that's reality, objective reality. Objectivity isn't pretending, isn't seeing, you know, oh, I don't know, pick a sport you like.
Well, how about
it isn't saying, well, the Kansas City Chiefs, who, by the way, I hate, I'm sorry, but if you like them, but the Kansas City Chiefs, well, okay, so the Kansas City Chiefs got more points in that game, but the Buffalo Bills scored more yards, so we're not sure who won.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. Like, I've tried to do that before to show people, to apply the stupidity to every other area of our lives. You know, what they do in politics, because it's the only area where they purposely forget what they know and try to make us dumber.
Yep.
Every other area.
I was going to say, it's not, they're not forgetting. It's, I will now write for you a David Brooks column as you sit here. It takes 3 seconds. Number one, a bunch of thugs motivated by Donald Trump, inspired by Donald Trump, stormed the Capitol. That's a bad thing. But, you know, there are speech codes on campus, and liberals are bad too. Boom, David Brooks column, done. Both sides do it. Multiply that by 20 freaking years of every week that's in the New York Times. Every week that's on Meet the Press. Every week. And you know what happens after that length of time? All of the conservative people I've ever dealt with in my life as an adult, if you push them against the wall, the last lie they'll tell you when you've debunked everything else they believe, why do you keep believing liars? I've debunked 4 lies in a row. Why do you keep believing these lying assholes who lie to you? The response is always the same. Well, you know, both sides do it. You know, it's both sides.
Well, and see, and the right hacks that very thing with both corporate media and their right-wing media. Because again, what this allows, the refusal of our media to do its fucking job, what it allows is it allows them to they say to themselves, okay, we don't have to convince people that Donald Trump isn't the diaper-filled Jabberwocky that he is, because we can't do that. But all we have to do is convince them that he's not as bad as Kamala Harris. And so let's play into the racial and gender stereotypes, but not just that. You know, your son's going to go to school one day, a boy, and come home a girl, and they're eating the pets in Springfield. And, you know, like, after people say stuff like that, the fact that you could even report on anything they say seriously and not refer to that, back to that every time you report on them. Donald Trump, who says he's going to provide a healthcare plan, let's remind you, he's also the one that said that people in Springfield were eating pets. I mean, you need to give people that context. This is what they don't get every time, because it goes down the memory hole otherwise. And so in the end, they play that game. And I can't tell you how many of these sort of, and they're seeing it now because they forgot too, these business Republicans, you know, who I run into here and whatever, like, well, I don't like Trump, but lesser of two evils. I mean, first of all, you think so now? How are those tariffs doing for you? But, you know, or not that their tariffs are out there, but sure killed the stock market for a bit. But they feel like they either end up, if they were going to vote for Kamala Harris, the right is just great at demonizing people, staying on message about a couple things they lie about. So they either will get you to vote for neither and stay home, which is a lot of those people that stayed home, I promise you, in this past election, or they get light Republicans, like lean Republican types, to say, okay, Trump is awful. We can't, you know, they can't convince them that Trump isn't, you know, a jerk, doesn't open his mouth and say obnoxious things. But, you know, Kamala Harris is worse, and she's communist. She's going to raise all my taxes. And that is what both sides allows. If the mainstream media covered it, or corporate media, which I should call them every time, covered it honestly. And that is why my recent thing has been when people are like, oh my God, you got to support them, blah, blah, blah. They're dying. And my whole response has been, and I quote it every time, James T. Kirk, Star Wars, Undiscovered Country.
Star Wars 3. Oh, 4. Undiscovered Country.
Star Trek, not Star Wars. Star Trek.
Star Trek. Star Trek 4. Yeah.
Star Trek. It's actually the 6th one, Undiscovered Country.
You're right. I apologize.
He's talking about the Klingons.
Yeah.
Let them die. That is the way I see our corporate media. The quicker, not the few guys. Like I ran a whole thing, and Will Bunch thanked me for it. I may have gotten 30 new subscribers to the Philly Inquirer because they're owned by a private foundation. They're the only newspaper that, after the debate between Biden and Trump, didn't call on Biden to get out. They called on Trump to get out for being a serial liar. That's not corporate media. Philadelphia Inquirer should become the paper of record. And you should look around for the exceptions like that. ProPublica, you know, the Cleveland Plain Dealer, where the editor said, we are not going to do this. We will cover Biden. This is when Biden was still in the race. When he does bad things, we will tell you. But there's only one candidate in this race who won't accept what happened in 2020. See, I can't even get specific there. And there's only one candidate in this race who supported January 6th. And we are going to report it that way. You're going to know who will accept the outcome in 2024. So they too, I immediately, I'm in Cincinnati. We're supposed to be a rival or something. But I immediately, I don't subscribe to our crappy paper. I subscribe just to support them. Find those outlets, but I would say also their podcast. I don't know. I haven't seen Jim today. Oh, there's Jim. Right on time.
Hey, Jim.
Jim is our moderator. He's fantastic. He always shares. Subscribe to their.
That's the wrong link, but
oh, it's the wrong link, Jim. Well, okay, we'll get it. We'll get it worked out.
Yeah.
Subscribe to their podcast.
Yeah.
You have a Patreon.
We have a Patreon, patreon.com/ProLeftPod. Yep.
Jim, if you can find like the exact podcast link, my friend, their Patreon link. Is there anywhere else you want to send folks? You want to send people to your YouTube to subscribe?
ProLeftPod.com will get you there to everything.
So go watch their stuff. It's why I get to say to people, subscribe to my Patreon, my Substack. And yes, even though it's a big pain in the butt, YouTube is a megaphone. I have 102,000 almost subscribers. So it helps send people. And that's why I'm going to tell you guys, what I've said to other folks, which is I don't play that game that, let's just say there are some larger creators on the left and it's all about themselves and their numbers and their whatever. I hope you know me by now to know that that's not who I am. If you want to get to that point where you have the subscribers and all that, please send me videos. I will put them on my community wall. And if you have a certain number, we'll even do a countdown to what you need. We will get you the subscribers you need. So you'll get your money out of there and you'll start getting more regular subscribers. Because again, there we go. Thank you, Jim. No, I picked up the wrong thing. Sorry, it moves on.
There we go. That's
Jim, hero.
Thank you, Jim.
Jim's awesome.
And
Jim
Cliff,
is the only here is a mod here, gives gives me shout out donations and and like super chats and things. And I'm like, I feel
Jim.
Even though he's doing this for me, is a subscriber at Substack. I only have 5 or 6 paid subscribers because I haven't asked anybody to pay for anything there. He's one of them. Subscribes to Patreon. I think he subscribes to the YouTube members. Jim is like, one day Jim gets taken out to the most expensive steak restaurant where he lives and gets to order like the Poppy Van Winkle bottle. And, I just say, look, here's a couple $1,000 at least. Go to town. And I'm not even kidding. That will happen, Jim. Even if I have to sell one of my kids, because then I don't just save that money. I save college tuition too. So, it's a real win-win.
Can we go back to for a minute, Cliff, to the idea of the power of truth?
Yes.
I think that the settlement with Fox News and Dominion was much more of an earthquake than the media wants to let on. And Smartmatic has not given up. Smartmatic is not settling as of yet. And I understand why she doesn't want to sue. But Hillary Clinton made a statement where she said they are pushing toward actual malice. And when she said that, Fox News stopped talking about her.
And she's got nothing they've got nothing to lose if they're out of office. I mean, yes, they do.
I'll tell you, I think Hillary Clinton does have something to lose because I think Hillary Clinton wants the history books. She really cares about that. She really cares about what happens 100 years from now and what her place in history is. And she doesn't want it to be, I sued Fox News for actual malice.
Helping take down Fox News would ensure the place in history of,
she has a place in history already, though.
She does, of course.
And she's happy with that. So
that's fine. And I'm not going after her, to be clear specifically.
Right.
I'm a fan. I supported her strongly, wholeheartedly. What I'm saying is famous people, not famous people, they're literally with the lies they tell every day.
Yep.
So they go after a school and they make up some lie that they don't have, you know, they only have the Hanukkah and
Yeah,
Islam,
right.
you know, no
Right.
Christmas. If that's
Right.
not true, and it's been proven not true times, sue them.
Sue
What
them.
I'm saying is
every time. Sue them.
everybody they smeared and lied about, especially all the ones who aren't famous. We saw what happened with Rudy
Right.
Giuliani,
Right.
poor
Yep.
guy losing his car, I believe. By the
Yeah.
way, I would take that out on a Ferris Bueller type ride if I was two of them.
Yep.
Turn
Yep.
on the live stream
Mhm.
and
Yep.
just go flying through the air. But okay, this is
But
the
I
right.
think the families of the 4 people who died at Benghazi, although
I
they're
thought that
probably they
forever.
might be right-wing assholes, but they should sue Hannity for
I thought
the
that forever.
13,000 pieces they did on
And
Benghazi.
I don't know what the cops at Capitol Hill have done or not done, you know, but
time to
why is
sue.
every single one of them not sued the state, not just Trump, whoever, the stations that encourage that? I just
Yep.
wish this is one of the ways. There are other ways, but this is one of the ways forward.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
It is
Yep.
by understanding that you need, you know, I hate to quote, well, we talked about Trump, a rapist, another rapist, but it's very difficult for me. But this is a line that I always think is important to say, which is, you know, Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until somebody punches them in the mouth.
Right.
When
Right.
somebody had said they had a plan to fight him. Now, let me quickly say Mike Tyson's an awful, terrible individual, blah, blah, blah. I just like that line. Like, the right may have a plan, but if you start punching them in the mouth rhetorically, if you start holding these kinds of constant press conferences, if you start, you know,
Shareholder value.
if
You
you have
have
them
to
on the defense-
affect shareholder value.
yes, go after that, because it used to be that companies were responsible for their communities.
They're
their
not. They
workers.
don't give a shit anymore.
No.
Pardon my language. They don't
But you
care.
need to do all of these things.
Yep.
Legal
Yep.
strategy is one of them. Constant lawsuits, but also constantly putting them on the defensive, constantly smacking them around. I mean, people can say what they want about Kamala Harris. She mocked Trump, her campaign. She went after him. I think they did most things right. We have to look at the fact that there probably was some racism and sexism involved.
Absolutely.
There was Elon Musk cheating with literally, as we know, turning the Twitter algorithm to be 1,000,000,000% in favor. She was up against, it showed all Trump stuff. She was up against mainstream media. She was a black woman, all these things. And she came the closest out of any incumbent party in the West. She only lost by 1.4%.
Right.
So she was doing it right. I'm not going to change that. I hate people who change their analyses based on whether you win by 0.01% or lose.
Seriously.
Yeah.
She was doing it right. And that's how every Democrat should do it. Be in their faces constantly. Mock them in any press release you put out. Mock the things about them that you know make them insecure. Be aggressive. Get in their faces. Create spectacle. Create viral moments. Use Twitter. Use TikTok. Use everything. Like, these are all the things that we all, not Twitter necessarily, because it sucks and Elon won't show it. He'll just bury it. But at this point, TikTok, YouTube, whatever, like, there's so many tools out there, and the smart, this next generation of Democrats that now is largely taken over the House. They get it. We've got a whole crop of folks that I love showing, from Ted Lieu to Eric Swalwell. Stacey Plaskett, who doesn't even get a vote because she's from the Virgin Islands, because apparently Manifest Destiny is still cool to have territories that don't actually get to vote.
Right.
Another one of those things, about being aggressive and going beyond. Whenever I hear people saying DC and Puerto Rico, I'm like, no. DC, Puerto Rico, Northern Marianas, Guam, and U.S. Virgin Islands. And if you think that Northern Marianas, Guam, and U.S. Virgin Islands don't have enough people, fine. Combine them into one entity for their Senate vote, and they should get 2 Senate seats, because everybody should have a Senate vote.
And call them West Dakota. So
exactly.
West Dakota.
My man. You just call him West Dakota and see.
Oh, by the way, I want to throw in a plug, as long as you're listing heroes in the House. Jasmine Crockett.
Yep.
I would have gotten to her.
Okay.
She's one of my favorites too.
Yeah.
I mean, Dan Goldman. I don't want to go on forever, but we've got about 20 to 25 of them now. I read something from Raskin before, ripping into to Musk and all of that. We do have a bunch of them. And they've been effective, and they're moving towards leadership. And albeit, aside from that one stupid tweet that Hakeem Jeffries sent out about God on the throne and whatever, that frustrated us all.
Mm-hmm.
What he did since then is, it's now come out and been reported, he is behind the effort in New York to move the Stefanik election back, because we're finally playing like them to keep that seat open. In fact, Hochul was going to move it back to June when there's the primary elections. He's like, no, move it to November.
Well, and you know who lit a fire under those Democratic senators is Democratic governors.
Yep.
Democratic governors, our governor, our billionaire governor, and his pals calling the Senate saying, "Get off your asses. We're taking a lot of shit for stuff we didn't have anything to do with. You got to go on the offensive."
So you guys are in Chicago, right?
We're in Springfield, which is
Okay. Yeah. Right.
State
My bad.
capital.
But Pritzker has been one of the best.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
again,
Absolutely.
it's why I point out and go after the billionaire class all the damn time. And they are the evil. Monopolies are the evil. But I always make sure to point out, just like I do with corporate media,
Right.
like when Catherine Rampel the other day said to Scott Jennings, "Oh, you think that wasn't a Nazi salute? Then do it. Do it." And
Right.
kept challenging him until he like wet himself and almost ran off the set. There are always exceptions. Mark Cuban, is an exception, and Pritzker is an exception. And we should always make sure that even when we go after, because there is a billionaire oligarch class that controls Trump, they are evil and they don't believe in democracy.
Nope.
And again, as I said before you guys came on, they've said it. I mean,
Yeah.
Peter Thiel Thiel, or however you say his stupid fucking name, it was asked quite openly, about capitalism and democracy, and said we can't have a democracy because it doesn't work with capitalism, and capitalism is the priority. I wanted to be like, hey, have you ever heard of the social democratic Western European countries? They're doing it pretty well.
Yeah.
So maybe just because you're a weirdo, self-hating freak who wants to live forever, like you're some James Bond villain cartoon, don't drag the rest of us into your democracy and capitalism don't work. Between the 30s and 80s, as I like to point out, while still we hadn't gotten there socially. So let's be honest about it. This was white men when it came to and straight white men and straight white Christian men. But we had an economic order in this country where we had anywhere between a 70-something and 91% top tax rate, where we built infrastructure, we had great projects, where where corporate CEOs didn't make more than about 10 or 12 times what their workers made,
Right.
That kind of thing. And Reagan,
And we did that through the tax structure.
correct. That was able to be done.
That's how we did it.
Tax
We
structure,
forced-
but I also would add the regulatory structure.
And the regulatory.
Regulated.
We forced
came in
companies
and
to
made regulation
invest
a
in their
dirty word.
own products. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
did something happen in the 80s that I should know about? Was there a change in
Yes,
the
an earlier, quite a little guy who was a little more charismatic and less of a clown, and less of a circus like freak, but also was just as dumb and just as dishonest, and also was famous for being a performer.
Right.
And convinced a lot of people who otherwise maybe would have known better, because they got rid of the fairness doctrine.
Right.
Rush Limbaugh came on the radio for the first time in the 80s. And we started heading towards where to me, Reagan's the beginning of our economic move into this insane second Gilded Age, and Newt Gingrich is the beginning of our move into the place where Republicans were completely willing to be led by a clown, as long as that clown produced results.
Back when I could make it rhyme on my blog, I used to write that it's not the 4th year of the Trump administration, it's the 40th year of the Reagan Revolution.
Right.
Yeah.
This is the actual end product of the Reagan and all of the shit that Reagan did, bringing in the evangelicals, scorching the unions, and making the path open for people like Limbaugh. And I mean, the first, as you mentioned, the limit of the fairness doctrine, first guy out of the box after the fairness doctrine was killed by who? Robert Bork and Tony Scalia.
Yep.
2 federal judges who conspired to get rid of the fairness doctrine. First one out of the box is Rush Limbaugh. Boom.
I mean, yeah, right. I mean, again, they plan years ahead for this stuff.
They do.
And
Absolutely.
in the 70s, people forget. Is it 73 that I always say was like the worst year for, I believe it's like one of those years where they created, or 76, they created like ALEC and like the Heritage Foundation. And there was like a third one the same year.
Yep.
But all these radical infrastructures they started creating to pollute public policy research, to pollute the media, to all that stuff. They started with all of that. Then they had a long-term plan, and even the ones along the way who thought, "All right, it'll help us win," but weren't farsighted enough to think it would get this crazy. Well, here we are. And I will say, Bob, saying that the only thing I've ever disagreed with you on, and I totally, and somebody in here said the Powell memo, correct. I gave a lecture on the Powell memo when I was doing PhD history in grad school. My professor actually let me do the memo, because do the lecture. I knew it so well. And Powell, of course, he was actually a Democrat, but a corporate lawyer, conservative Democrat, put together a memo of how to fight back against the hippies on campus, basically, and black radicals, as they put it. And it all involved, with think tanks and media, putting out their own media and all these kinds of things. And they've gone much further even than Powell said. But, and again, the only reason I disagree with you, I don't disagree with you. I think your take, it's more that, the two guys that wrote the book, How Democracy Dies, right? Zyblatt and Levitsky said that everybody has to unite against a fascist threat.
Yes.
So while I may not love all the never Trumpers, and I know how you feel about them, but my view of things has been right now, for my kids, for them to grow up in a democracy, it doesn't mean I trust somebody the way I trust you guys. But it does mean that anybody who's willing to work with me against Donald Trump, I am willing to work with. That has been...
I got nothing but nice things to say about Stuart Stevens. Because Stuart Stevens wrote a book called It Was All a Lie. And he says it was all a lie. Everything I believed in was a lie. My party was never, ever this way. I thought I was wrong. I helped build it. It was wrong. Man, boom, my friend, no problem. Bruce Bartlett, same thing. I saw it was coming. I skipped out.
What's his name? Why can't I think of his last name? He's a neocon. Max
Boot. Max Boot.
Max Boot.
How do you forget a name like Max Boot, right?
I know. Why couldn't I forget that? He wrote a book too, said the same thing, that I was fooled about, tricked on everything. So,
and I appreciate all of those guys. And the one I think the Charlie Pierce doctrine is, I believe in all hands on deck. I don't believe in all hands on the tiller. You don't get to steer the fucking party.
That's fine. I'm with you.
And my problem is that a great deal of never Trump literature. First of all, they colonize the media. There are no new liberals anywhere. But man, 1 minute after they had a hashtag that says resist, never Trump, they're hired at MSNBC.
Well, right. That's our media's fault. I mean, again,
agreed.
Because of course they love a Republican turning on Republicans. It's irresistible.
But I do listen to the never Trump stuff. Some of it's very good, but goddamn, if the first third of every podcast is in throat clearing about what idiots Democrats are, what losers liberals are. David Frum wrote this goddamn thing yesterday. I wrote about, you have to abandon this progressive nonsense and go to the center. You got to have a center. They want the Democratic Party to become the Republican Party of 2003
or earlier. Gerald Ford.
Yeah,
they want Gerald Ford. Yeah. They want
I'll have to go read it because I have to admit, I'm friendly with David Frum.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. He's affable as hell.
And I do, along the way, the time I had him on my podcast, he, at least there, admitted he was wrong about Iraq.
Yeah.
And so I thought at least, and again, I'm not.
No.
There's a bunch of them that I can't stand, and I'm not, sit here and pick fights. But I do think at least, and again, I had to go read what Frum wrote because it doesn't mean I've told you I disagree with plenty of things.
It's in the last 3 paragraphs of a 36-paragraph article, just so you know.
Well, it's the Atlantic. Everything is a 36-paragraph article in the Atlantic. I mean,
well, you know what? Here, let me make it easy for you. My shibboleth, West Wing, the shibboleth episode.
I remember. We consumed all the same media, it seems, in our lives.
My shibboleth is, can you say the words, the left was right about the right all along, without your tongue bursting into flames or lying or saying, well, yeah, but what about Abby Hoffman or some bullshit like that from the time before any of you were involved in politics. During your entire adult life, the Republican Party has been this way and going this direction. Can you form the words with your mouth? The left was right about the right all along, without getting a Tom Nichols, his panties in a bunch about, well, your party was not so great either. And like, okay, we're doing both sides.
I don't know, Tom. Go ahead, finish your point. I'm sorry.
No, but it is that it is a reflex, because it's like, I don't want to take responsibility for this. This wasn't my doing. I lived in Massachusetts. I didn't know anything about party. I'm like, okay, all right, fair. That's fair. If you don't know anything about politics or what your party's been doing for the last 40 years or what liberals think, why are you being paid for your political opinions?
That's a good point. You probably should be able to see beyond no, I mean, Tom to me seems like a bit of a curmudgeonly.
He's a curmudgeon. Yeah, and that's his shtick. And that's cool.
And so I don't know him. I'll be frank here about, I've talked to Max Boot before. He came on my podcast. I talked to David Frum. I've talked to Rick Wilson, bit of a showman, this and that and the other thing, though, and again, I think Rick sometimes, I don't agree with everything Rick says by a long shot. I do think sometimes, though, how do I say this? There are people like me And you guys, and Bob Seska,
Right.
and Tony Michaels, if you know Tony, who's helped me start this show, and you guys should get to know him because he's awesome.
Okay.
And some other folks who have always believed in the doctrine of lay waste to them. Right. I mean, the first time anybody ever knew who I was, the Cleta Mitchell clip will never stop going around and me yelling at her. And I'm proud of it because she's been like a Forrest Gump of every illegal right-wing movement. She was on the NRA board when they're taking Russia money. She worked for Trump's groups to try to, do what they did in 2020. But the only thing I appreciate about Rick sometimes and some of them is that so many Democrats just still will not say what they need to say.
Right.
And at least we need somebody going after Trump, mocking him, knowing that politics is psychological warfare. And someone will be, well, we're above making diaper jokes. Well, don't be. Because if it gets in his head and it means that he's spending half a day pissed off about somebody made a joke about his diaper, then he's not causing damage. Okay. So politics, and maybe he gets up and says something stupid. Politics is always psychological warfare. It's always about winning. It's always about being aggressive, being on offense. If you're on defense, you're losing. If you're explaining, you're losing. And there's been Democrats too many times. And so, like the last time I officially, well, a year after that, but officially I was really a consultant. I still take on a PR client here and there. But when I sort of considered the pinnacle, and that was the time when I got to write ads for Biden in 2020 during the campaign. Well, they used a few of mine, and I always went, if they were comfortable with like a 7 out of 10, I went to a 47 out of 10, and they would cut a lot of it out and whatever. But I think it wasn't just me. My partner at the time, Greg Pinello, was a great ad writer. Other people, we got them to be more aggressive. I think that Rick can sometimes, and some of those guys can be useful in the way that we have such an ingrained culture of as I say to people, every time a microphone is in front of your mouth, a camera is in front of you, anything is a moment to message every time. And if you just respond with, well, I'm really ashamed of them, you've wasted it. If you respond with, I can't believe my Republican colleagues would do that, you've wasted it.
That's it.
If you say, well, of course we would expect this from a party that doesn't even respect the democratic process.
Or women.
Domestic terrorist friends attacked the Capitol on January 6th, doesn't believe in elections, it bows down and kisses and puts on knee pads for Vladimir Putin. Well, yeah, of course they would do that.
And they hate women so much they'll elect a rapist.
Right. Well, that's off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But that's the response because it's a messaging opportunity. They ask you about Republicans, and if you don't get at least 3 hits in there, you're wasting your moment.
Agreed.
And so
I got to wonder.
That's what I appreciate about what Rick and some of the others do. And I do think it's helped. But again, it seems like we actually do agree more than I thought we do.
We do. My only difficulty is this, that you're really good at messaging. My wife and I are really good at the kind of attack. We're good writers. We're good at attack people.
You guys are exceptional writers.
And here's the thing. There's a cohort of people called OG bloggers who have been taking the Republican Party to task for 20 years. When Trump shows up, none of us got the call from MSNBC.
You're right.
You know who got the call from MSNBC? People they knew already who were Republicans.
You're right.
And so suddenly, all the seats that should have been filled with Digby and with Bob Seska and with you and et cetera, are suddenly being filled with Mona Sharon and Jennifer Rubin. And look at that. Joe Scarborough now has 4 hours in the morning. Like, I get it.
I've been having fun making videos about him, I'll admit. But I mean, anybody who fell for Joe Scarborough's fake act that he ever, I'm sorry, like, again, I don't think I'm some kind of genius. So I don't know how I see things sometimes, and that other people, I guess they don't want to see it.
Well,
because absolutely. Bingo. They don't want to see it because they don't care about news.
Right.
They don't care about news. They care about shareholder value. Bingo.
Yep. You saw them like fluffing Trump in 2015, him and Mika.
Yeah.
They got mad at Trump because Trump insulted them. Because Trump, if you don't 100% back him, as we know, as every other Republican has experienced, even his little puppy dog, Lindsey Graham, he'll rip you to the media. Well, Joe has the same kind of ego and narcissism that Trump has. So he can't accept that. Yep. It was never about policy or fascism. He pretended and hid behind that. He has scrubbed
the internet.
Right.
Of all of his relationship with Trump. Yeah.
It was about
he was a member at Mar-a-Lago apparently in 2014.
Right.
He had his kids there at Christmas, and all those articles about him taking his kids to Mar-a-Lago at Christmas are scrubbed from the internet.
I didn't even know that, so that shows they successfully were able to get rid of that, even that I didn't even know that.
Yep,
But I knew,
Yep.
I knew their relationship. I knew what an ass kisser Scarborough was when it came to Trump. So I knew when he was mad at him. And if you watch his personality, I'm sorry, I've said this so many times, it is the most uncomfortable thing to watch Mika next to him, looking down like he's about to slap her.
Yeah, right.
I don't know what goes on behind closed doors, and I'll say allegedly 8,000 times, so Scarborough doesn't try to find some excuse to whatever. I don't know anything, and I'm not saying anything. What I'm saying is what it looks like.
Right.
That to me looks the way Brett Kavanaugh's wife looked during the confirmation. I'm sorry, when you see a spouse kind of lean away and look down, it is not good body language. At the very least, let's put it this way. At the very least, he may have never touched her, and hurt her in whatever in his life, but he at the very least verbally, when they're not there, abuses the crap out of her, screams, yells, does whatever. So I never understood, even from the beginning, like, who finds this comfortable? I'm sitting here on the I don't watch any cable TV because I think it's all garbage. So we should start with that. But if I were going to watch any, every once in a while, Lawrence O'Donnell, because I think he's terrific at what he does. Yeah. But again, that's every once in a while when I know something's coming up I want to see. My schedule is cleared of that crap. When I go home at night, I'm either doing this job or I'm watching The Walking Dead with my older son, or I'm watching a European soccer game with my younger son. I don't need to watch people tell me what I already know on cable TV.
100%.
But when it comes to the Scarborough stuff, that always made me uncomfortable. And then again, I knew who he was. I knew what his personality was. I don't have a degree in psychology. Look at people and listen to them. Listen to the fact that he can't bear to be criticized. He can never say the simple thing, I'm sorry, I was wrong.
I was wrong, yes.
Or if you want entertainment value, pure entertainment value.
Right.
Early in the Trump nomination process in 2016, him and Bill Kristol having a slap fight on the air over who was to blame for it. Oh, it was your people. Oh, like you never endorsed it. It was like an old married couple who found each other's cheating on the other. And now they're like screaming at each other over who's to blame for this shit. And I'm like, dude, you both are. You both made this monster.
Yeah.
And by the way, who the hell hired Hugh Hewitt for a weekend host?
Right.
Who the hell decided Greta Van Susteren is what we needed?
Yep.
Who the hell gave Michael Steele a fucking job? I'm sorry, but
who at their parent company thought, hey, there's no such thing as Black Santa was a good idea for a morning show host to pay $60-something million to go away so she can now turn into the ghoul that she always was.
So all the stuff you hate about
talking about, of course,
all the stuff you and I hate about cable television are all corporate decisions being made for business reasons. Just like my wife says, shareholder value. All the people who are excluded from the spotlight and all the people who are included are part of the show. And there's a specific show going on. And I just to loop this all back to where we started, 2004. In 2004, 5, and 6, it was very clear who was right about everything and who was wrong about everything. Where were all the job offers, all the lucrative job offers to the liberal bloggers who are right?
Can I tell you the most ironic thing? Because you just hit the nail on the head, and I can't. It's just too perfect.
Please.
When you say 2004, 2005, and 2006, in my life, I've gotten paid here and there by BBC. Some of those, where they were like, "Hey, come on, we'll give you $50 or something." I mean, it's nothing, right?
Right.
Some of the foreign channels. And I did get screen tested at one point at CNN, along with, it was a hilarious group now when you think about it. Rachel Maddow was one of them. She ended up doing okay for herself. One of the other people they screen tested, I'm not lying to you, it was about 6 or 8 of us. And then the guy who was going to run the show went to Fox, and it never happened. But Roland Martin was being screen tested. He was going to lead the show. So I like Roland. He would have been good.
Yeah.
But one of the panelists, literally the one who would have been right next to me, was Kellyanne Conway. I swear, I shite you not.
No.
So that was around that time. And then they decided not to do it. So I never got an offer from them. And here you go. Here's your laugh in 2004. I, in my life, have been hired and paid well by one news organization, video news organization, or TV, to go on and argue and debate politics. And that one is a place called the Sinclair Broadcast.
Yeah.
And I was living in DC. Their headquarters is Baltimore. I know how nefarious they are. I live in Cincinnati now. They have a station here. I knew how nefarious they were then. But I will say, you know me. I mean, you guys know me. I would not have gone on to be a patsy.
Right.
I went on because they thought it was good TV. Because I go on against another person, somebody quite infamous, Armstrong Williams, is being paid off by the Bush administration.
Oh my
Strong
God.
arm Williams. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Who the last thing that I remember he did, I think he ran Ben Carson's presidential campaign.
Yep,
That went
yep.
well.
Wow.
I mean, that guy had a hand in every grifty pot you could. Well,
of course.
me up there versus Armstrong Williams. And I used to take pride in it because I'm like, I'm going to take him on, and the host is going to be right wing. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound arrogant, folks, but I'm like,
No,
I'm going to beat both their asses.
Yeah.
And so I used to take it as a challenge, and they didn't stop me. If they'd edited my stuff and made me look dumb, I wouldn't have done it. But they let me go because they thought this gets better ratings.
Good TV. Yeah.
And so I went and I made liberal arguments to people in conservative Midwest and southern parts of the country and whatever. And they didn't pay me nothing like they paid Armstrong, I'm sure, but they paid me well.
Mhm.
And that should tell you everything you need to know.
Right.
That the only place that ever paid me to be on television was the presidential election of 2004, Kerry versus Bush. And
Wow.
and so when we moved out to Cincinnati, by the time we came out this way, whatever it was, 2009, 10, whenever.
Yeah. Long time ago.
Well, a long time ago, no, but by then, because when you guys used to see me on all those shows, was about 2003 through 2010. By then, I just given up. I didn't care that Zoom didn't exist. They weren't going to pay the money. They did every once in a while when I'd write a viral column for the Guardian, or then after that I had a syndicated one for a bit, and then the Daily Beast. If it was important enough and it went big enough, they'd pay whatever they had to pay to get the PBS studio here to have me on, the satellite to have me on from Cincinnati. It probably happened from about 2010 through today a half dozen times. I've been on probably MSNBC maybe 4 times, CNN maybe once, Fox once. I mean, I wouldn't even bother with Fox for the most part anymore anyhow. But point being, that was it. I came to the conclusion, like, it doesn't matter how much talent I have. It doesn't matter if I've got a following. It doesn't matter. They're never going to have me on as a regular. So
that's right.
If my wife and I want to raise our kids near family and in a smaller city and, and all of that stuff, now is the time. And back then, I will admit, if I had been looking at an Ohio losing by 13 points, I don't know that I would have moved here. I was looking at a Obama who had just won in Ohio.
Right.
Sherrod Brown who had just won in Ohio. It was a different state. I'm like, okay, I'm going to a swing state. Maybe I can play a role, bring some experience, help. Yeah. Because the other role I got that paid me was an local ABC station here. Or no, I'm sorry, in Columbus, that would pay me to go on after after Stephanopoulos and do a debate for the Columbus audience. It was a local station though, so it was nothing like the other, it paid me almost nothing. But my point is simply, that's what happened. And so many friends of mine, as I point out here so often, that's why you guys are treasures for sticking in it. I mean, I've got friends who are corporate media people and have had amazing careers. It's not the career they wanted.
Right.
They wanted to be left communicators on the left.
Right.
If you weren't willing to risk it, if you weren't an entrepreneurial sort like me, or if you didn't come from at least a middle-class family so that you had college, I didn't have a silver spoon in my mouth, but I also did not, trust me, how much I appreciate what I had. I knew that if I got in trouble, my parents would always have health care for me. There'd always be a roof over my head at my parents' place in New York. I knew that, they paid for my college.
Yeah.
So I look at that as I came out ahead because of all of that. And so I could take a few risks in a way they couldn't. Some friends of mine who just were in debt could not. Yeah. And, that's what ended up happening. And so I see some of these friends and I'm like, we lost a generation of talent because corporate media wouldn't hire them and lefty billionaires wouldn't invest in them.
Yeah.
And so they're gone.
Bingo.
Exactly right.
That's it.
Exactly right.
That's it.
And I'm just thinking of all the people that all the people that do what we do. Just if we had a liberal media that would just take care of the administrative side of things, just take care of what Jim. Not that I love Jim. Jim, I don't even know your face, but you're obviously a hell of a guy. But all of those things that we don't want to do because I'm not a sound editor. I'm not.
Like me screwing up the lights and the microphone every other week. I mean, I had a guy come here and help fix the lights. Everybody last week was like, it's awesome. and I have to turn them off, and something may move a little bit at night, and the mic may get moved a little bit, and suddenly like there's a shadow on me.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Well,
and if I had a producer or somebody who could be in here when I did these to make sure everything was all set up every time, I mean,
you know how much we love House Sparks, but the funniest thing about House Sparks is every other show is okay. You got to give me 15 minutes because I got a cable problem, and it's pluggy plug because he's a one-man
Twitch
band.
isn't up, or Twitch is down, or YouTube is down, or they can't hear me, or
with my microphone. Usually it's not the light. Usually for 3 minutes, the mic gets messed up. It switches between the mic. I usually like to have my earbuds in, but it was switching from the mic to the earbuds and going back and forth on this stupid computer. And I even had a guy jump in and say, "Hey Cliff, start taking this seriously." Like not these folks, but like somebody in a chat after one of these is over. Start taking this seriously. Stop running around with the hair on fire. To get views. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never done that. Yeah. Whenever I do anything that you would call, hair on fire, like what's going with Musk right now, it's hair on fire. Otherwise, I try to give positive stories. I was telling people last week about in Iowa, in that seat where, you've got Lieutenant Governor used to be who won in Iowa, a Republican. He won that state Senate seat by 21 points. Donald Trump won it by 22. We're starting to have the Trump effect again, where if he's not on the ticket, we just won it by 2 points, a 23 point. Like I try to tell the positives. I try to do all that. So that guy's criticism. And again, I find it cathartic to admit I've screwed up and say, I'm sorry. It always reminds me that I will never get the kind of swelled head of the people we're talking about. I screw plenty of things up in life. Trust me. And if there are things outside of this, if my car were just, as a guy that didn't drive regularly, a New York City boy till I was 35, the slightest thing goes wrong with my car, I'm like, and to my wife, she fixes it. All right. Not me. So don't think I'm some masculine, whatever. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But you're right with all of that kind of stuff. How else to put up with that? I have to put up, with this. Oh, I was to say, so this guy's like, go get your sound figured out, and I'm like, I actually think I have it figured out. It switches back and forth. And also sometimes the USB slot is messed up. So I have to mess around with it because I've had this computer for 4 years. I'm sorry. I'm not rich like you. Would you like to pay for a new? I'm trying right now I'm putting money together because I want to buy like a top notch. I want to have a laptop. I don't even have a desktop. It's this. And I want to buy a $2,000 computer. Sorry that I don't just have some big
donate one.
Somewhere.
Yes. Right.
I mean, I'm doing the best that I can. And I hope, and luckily a lot of people here in the comments are amazing and let me know they appreciate it.
Well, this is punk. This is punk. This is garage rock. This is do it yourself, figure it out, and which is awesome because you get to say what you want, you get to run long, you get to make mistakes. My recording space is my closet, which is 4 feet away. I open the door, my clothes are in there, I stick my desk in there. Oh, I have a sound room, but it's a borrowed microphone, a donated laptop, and my beautiful wife who does all the sound editing. If there were just, I don't want a billionaire dictating what I would talk about. It would be enormously helpful if there were a central repository of talent paid for by somebody who would take care of those things so we could do the stuff that we want to do, the stuff that we actually bring value to, that we do it.
Listen, I like these two. I'm not going to put up there. I don't want to embarrass anybody. I've got the, why does Cliff have guests? Why does whatever? Yes, I have a big mouth. Yes, I am a talker. Yes, I work hard and not try. Here, you'll see me apologize. Actually, I do that. I am sorry. I don't try to interrupt people. It is a bad habit. I work on it. I try not to do it. And yet, I will never be somebody who's an interview. Like I'm not an interviewer in that I ask a question and then other people answer. It is a two-way conversation. Is the way I want to do it. That doesn't take away from I interrupt too much. I work on it. It is a struggle. And that's on me. Guess what? I just admitted a fault. Anytime Joe Scarborough wants to do that, he can join me. But now you guys go ahead. I've been talking too much. I
just think you understand that neither one of us have any problem interrupting you, Cliff, to ask you a question or bring something up. So I'm not. I don't feel talked over at all.
Cliff, what do you really think about X? I mean, come on. Open up to us.
Elon Musk, tell us what you really think. Don't sugarcoat it. I just want to say we relate totally to what you were saying about moving to Cincinnati, because Driftglass lived in downtown Chicago. He lived right by the lake when we met. And I was raising 3 kids as a single mom in South Central Illinois, miles from a cornfield. And the conversation was just immediately decided because the children we could afford to raise 3 kids in Springfield rather than Chicago. It wasn't a question.
Well, I'm one of the victims of the Great Recession.
Yeah.
And I got laid off in the teeth of the Great Recession. I haven't had a full-time job since.
Right.
So
since 2008.
I've had a lot of part-time gigs.
Yep.
But I moved to Springfield for economic reasons, and the woman I love was there, and 3 kids, and so on and so forth. But yeah, this is our life. This is actually what we talk about when we're not in front of a microphone.
Right. And here's the thing: the reason right now that I haven't bought a new computer yet, even though I am going to, and I do have money to do it. I just like to look at the various potential, like 3 to 6 months down the road, costs coming, and that kind of thing. Sure. I have an older son who is going to college in 7 months.
Right.
And I am determined that, like me, like the benefit that my parents gave me, my children will not have debt.
Right.
So I'm not claiming, I'm not claiming poverty. I'm not claiming I don't have money, but I am claiming that I do have to choose between things sometimes.
Sure.
And I will pay for my son to not owe a nickel every day of the week and twice on Sundays before I buy anything new for myself.
Right.
And if that makes me a bad person, then I'm a bad person.
Makes you a parent.
It
makes you a parent. That's it.
I will gouge my eyes out, jump out a window. I will go stay in a hotel on the 5th floor in Moscow with a terrorist and let Putin know I'm there. If that means my kids will be debt free and will have a great shot at life, because I chose to have kids, they didn't choose to be had. And I adore them. And I'm also not too much of a toxic masculinity guy to admit that on air. So you know what? Like, that's the thing. I'm putting my priorities where I'm putting my priorities.
Yeah.
Right.
Hopefully we'll get this worked out. And I won't have to deal with the sound issues anymore. But that's also a reason why, sadly, I had to do what I did. We've talked about both of them, in this show. I had to stop co-hosting Bob's show because when you co-host, which you guys, I think, do one time.
Days. We've done it one time so far, and Bob is, we are on the hook, I think, for once a month.
But instead of an hour as a guest, you come 30. Bob is a stickler about sound, and I respect the hell out of it. Yep. You come 30 minutes early for the sound check. You do the hour and a quarter full show because you're no longer the guest, you're the actual host too. And then a half hour after that of the shadow docket for the people that are kind enough to do what my pal Sheldon Hughes just did. Sheldon Hells would be kind of cool. Thank you. You're a good dad, Cliff. Thank you. I appreciate it, my friend. And give me a super chat, which remember, you all can do. That makes buying the computer easier if you're having trouble with the sound.
Same.
And so it was a 2-hour and a half commitment on Tuesday. So it was half my day. And then going on for a full hour with Hal every Monday.
Oh.
I can't do, we're going to try every other Monday for an hour, just because I got to a point where with my 2-hour, these things, Substack, wanting to do shorter videos that I get out to people, editing.
That's editing. That's hours of editing.
No time. No time to, Friday was my only day not on air.
Yeah.
And, and so now and Tuesday I started at 10:30 and maybe had a half hour then between today, right now, I had a half hour to 45 minutes between that and this. And now I'm on here for 2 hours. And so by the time I'm done, it's been 4.5 to 5 hours of broadcast.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm spent. I just can't, so I don't end up getting the day-to-day stuff done. So I just had to, so that's another reason why have I not gotten another computer, because my kid, we're traveling for his soccer games on weekends and we're doing stuff and whatever. And I haven't had time. So maybe now I hated making these decisions, but I had to, and I know folks here would be upset, but look, I even contemplated that the Wednesday live stream, I either would have to stop doing it or move it down to an hour. And I'll tell you guys, I'm not going to stop doing it, but I may have to move it down to an hour because I have to have the time in. If I'm going to produce a less quality product, like you're sitting here why was this like this with the light, whatever, because I have no time ahead. I get off Bob's show, I'm stuffing my face with food, preparing what I want to say to you, and I have no time to check on everything.
Mhm.
Right? Like I need the time to be able to go to a computer store, to be able to check on stuff, to be able to. I'll stop being that way because, again, the one thing I will say is 30% of kids in the city of Cincinnati will go to sleep hungry tonight,
Right.
and they have it a hell of a lot worse than I do.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean?
You count
I'm
your
not-
blessings and you count your privileges, and
Yep.
you take a minute to say, I'm actually, in the great scheme of things, extremely lucky.
I
Hi,
am.
Francie.
And we have a lot of wonderful people who support our efforts, yours
Right.
and ours.
Thank you,
And-
Fancy, for this. And she's just so you know, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry.
No.
Hello, Blue Gal and Drift Class. Keep up the good work, Cliff. Sorry, go ahead.
Hi,
Thank you.
Francie.
Hello, Francie.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's who we do this for. And speaking of your kids, you know, that's what we do this for. I mean, I'm not going to be
Right.
around in 30 years, 40
No.
years, 50 years, but they
But
will be.
somehow Clarence Thomas will be, because they'll find a way to keep that asshole alive till
Yeah.
they're
Frozen.
150.
They'll give him one of those Cheney hearts that'll keep
Yeah.
going
Right.
forever and ever.
Right.
But
right.
that's, I mean, the thing that we found to be true for us is we're talking this way at meetups.
Right.
Yep.
And we had, I think it was Rick Perlstein, one of the people that we were chatting with at a
I gotta
defunct
have him
restaurant.
on. I haven't talked to Rick in ages. Great.
Oh,
guy.
he's a hoot, man. He's a hoot. And he's Chicago, so we were at the Heartland, I think. And he or somebody said, you should be on the radio. You two
Yes.
should be on the radio together.
That's what they said.
Together. And we thought, well, that's a good idea. But it didn't come from, we should have a show that does the thing and the thing and the thing. It
Right.
came from, this is what we're talking about anyway. When we're talking to each other in a large group, everyone seems to get very quiet and listens,
True.
which is weird because I'm not an extrovert and it's kind of uncomfortable. And so we thought, well, we'll do this. And the time commitment it takes, you know, Fran
It's our life.
is editing at Crooks and Liars every day up to her chin in hazmat every day. I'm writing every day. I'm doing the show prep, the scripts, and the research because we do professional podcast, and we have a feature called No Fair Remembering Stuff, which is where we do really deep dives on third-party elections and the Ford administration and how did we get there and da-da-da-da-da, which takes a lot of time. And then we do a science fiction university for ourselves, which is a sort of a writer's look at science fiction plots and how they have been over the
Can
years.
I join you for that sometime?
Oh, hell yeah.
You probably
Hell yeah.
already heard me allude to Star
Star
Trek.
Trek?
I got
Mhm.
lucky. One of the luckiest, coolest things ever happened to me in my life, which you may know the story about, where I got to know through gun work and whatever. I got to know Mark Hamill, where we invited my family over. These are my kids, like 10, when they were filming The Last Jedi, and we got to take them to the
Jesus.
studio over in London to meet him and and like Danny Harrison, George Harrison's son, was there. And my kids were in awe. I'm like, hey guys, the only pop culture thing that may be bigger than Star Wars is what that guy's dad was a part of.
Yeah.
It was just amazing and crazy experience. So my point to you is just, I'm into all of this. I'm as geeky as Bob is about all this. I mean, especially if you're ever getting into the whole Avengers stuff and any of that stuff. I've often thought in my myriad hours of time that I'd love to start a channel and do that. I don't have the time to do it. Otherwise, I would start something, analyze those movies, like, something like, if you're into those movies, example being The Winter Soldier. If you ever saw Captain America: The Winter Soldier, how much that was right out of 3 Days of the Condor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Sure. My favorite movie.
To the point of
My favorite movie ever.
Yeah, me too. It's one of my, it's my favorite of that stuff.
Yep.
Condor is, and of that stuff,
Yep.
that's one of my favorite movies of theirs. And right down to the casting Robert Redford to not even
Yep.
hide from you what
Right.
they were doing. That this was a
Yep.
70s, don't trust the government,
Right.
spy
Absolutely.
around every corner movie. I loved it. And the story I love to tell people is, apparently when I was 2 or 3 years old, growing up in the neighborhood of Peter Cooper Village in New York City, middle class housing for veterans right after World War II, rent controlled. We used to do that stuff back in the old days.
Yeah.
Robert Redford was just walking around our neighborhood because they filmed a scene in one of the buildings when Max von Sydow has him in his sights and wants to shoot him.
Oh, between the fence and the fence?
Yes, through the
Yeah.
fence.
Oh,
That was
man.
Peter Cooper Village. That's where I grew up. And,
Oh, wow.
and Redford was wandering around. My parents met him. I was like 2, so I did not. But because I think it was filmed in like 74, 75, whatever it was.
Something like that.
So,
yeah.
point being, when you could take sci-fi and then trace it back to real world political stuff, like, because they're basing it on 3 Days of the Condor, which is based on the church committee hearings and the stuff
Right.
that was
Right.
going on at that time.
Right.
Post Watergate. Like,
Right.
so
Right.
I could geek out like crazy if you ever wanted to have me on one of those. If you only do it yourselves, that's okay. I don't want to bust in on a party, but
No.
Yeah.
We usually shoot for a theme and look for 3 or 4 short stories. We've done The Incredible Mr. Limpet, for goodness sakes. I mean,
Yes,
that's,
we
you know,
have.
yeah.
We did
the
that. We did
Don, not
Incredible-
science fiction. It was Killer Fish. It was the Day of the Dolphin,
Mhm.
and which is science fiction, and The
Yep.
Incredible Mr. Limpet, which is science fiction. And but we're both writers, and we both have a writing background, and we break down plot, character, and why things work and why they don't. So, like, if you're very impressed, for example, not you personally, with Idiocracy, which is a very good movie, I would
Yes.
recommend from the 1950s a short story called The Marching Morons, which is
I think I read
Idiocracy.
that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I read that.
But it's that kind of depth of knowledge that I have because I have no childhood and I spent it all reading garbage science fiction that I can pull like stuff like that together with modern themes, and then my wife and I can talk about it. And we love having group conversations about it. Of course, they'll run about 9 hours because
I was going to say, you guys are
Well,
going to
again-
have the dorm room floor. You and Seska and all 3 of you are just going to have a 9-hour dorm room conversation.
I really think that some of the sets of whatever is again there. I've got something big going on right now with what I'm working on on my letter at Substack. And It's taking a lot of work, and I think that hopefully that will be solved. And I also have there's my mom has gotten a little more sick, and that's been tough, and some other stuff. I think we all suffered from the emotional impact of Trump, and I don't know that that will get any better. But point being, so right now, I'm trying to lessen the load, let's say, when I'm hoping a couple months down the road, and something like that about science fiction would be cathartic.
It would
You
be
know what I
fun
mean?
in the
Like-
summertime to do something like that.
Yeah,
it really
Have a
would.
party.
It really would.
By then,
Have
hopefully I'll
a
whole lot of
sci-fi
stuff.
party. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Something light like 1984 or Brave New World or
Yeah, right. Let's
Fahrenheit
make sure to pick the
451.
kind of stuff that has nothing to do with today.
Yeah. Fahrenheit 451.
Everything Ray
nothing.
Bradbury wrote, or yeah. Yes. You guys are awesome. I have one more rant that I probably should do here on Trump and
bring it.
the weak man he is on tariffs, so I can turn into a shorter video before I have to run out to the gym, because today I have to do that at 4:30. So then I can get home at 5:30. Then there's the diabetic cat who I have to take care of, who I love. And
Oh,
adore.
We got one of those too.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Bosco is our diabetic cat.
Okay,
Yeah.
I want to talk to you offline because there are questions I'd love to ask and how you're doing certain things.
Please.
Seriously, and how we are, because but we also, because we're crazy cat people and love them, we have 3 other cats too, because we had intended to have 3 of them, which already was crazy, and then they found a little guy on the street. He's actually in the thumbnail for this today. If you see a blonde cat is like lying upside down with his hand over his head, that was my joke about Trump's tariffs, that even the cat was like cringing at Donald Trump.
Well, we have 3 cats so far.
You get it too. So I go
Oh, yeah.
home and take care of them, and then there's helping kids with homework, and I mean,
Right.
it's a busy day, but I'm not complaining. What I'm hoping is some of a few of the big things that are not going to take forever will be cleared off the docket, and I have a little bit more time in the coming months, so that I could come join you and do something like that. It would be a labor of love to just come
That'd
and
be
talk
great.
science fiction. I'm glad we got a chance to do this today.
Yeah.
I will. The live stream will be here. I'll share it. I'll tag you guys, let you know.
Thank you.
So hopefully you can too, and if you could share it in your blog, that would be awesome.
We'll put it up
and
at
then
our Patreon too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then we'll wait about 2 weeks or so, because we always go for a second round, and I will edit this out of the overall live stream, so it will just be the interview portion for you, and we'll put that up as a video.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That'd be great.
So
By the
Yeah.
way, because we're all too busy to be believed, my wife decided she would add one more podcast to her roster. So just FYI, my wife Fran now has a knitting podcast, which she does every Wednesday. Because
wow.
yeah, I don't understand
knit
people like
socks
us.
for fun.
I don't understand people like us. I really don't. It's like, oh, we're 100% committed in every direction all
Everything
the time.
going
Don't
on,
sleep.
and that's like, oh no, I'm going to do a knitting podcast on Wednesdays. Really?
Anyway, FYI.
Well, and I'm sorry if I'm embarrassing you, but you know what? You say something like this, you reap what you sow.
Oh, you reap what
Yes.
you knit. Ha, 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 ha.
Yes, you're right. That's
Mhm.
why there are people there, we're getting I don't know, we got 8,000 in this thing the other day. That's why these friends of mine are here to talk with me. And that's why we keep it, because clearly all I do is talk about myself the whole time, and it's
Mhm.
just me and never anybody else.
You
No.
got
Thanks,
the link
Bill.
to our podcast right, though.
I really,
So,
really, really hope you come back, Bill. I
Sure.
really do. And I bet where you are and you say things like that, you're very popular. I'm guessing your mom's basement in your underwear. It's
Yeah.
been nice talking to you. Yeah, in any case, sorry, trolls are trolls. I don't care. Listen, you guys were awesome. Thank you.
good to be here. Thank you for having
Yeah,
us.
this is great. We really enjoyed it.
Would love to have you on again soon. We'll figure it out. I know you've got
Great.
Seska's thing you do.
Mhm.
Right.
And if you ever want me on the pod, I'd love to join you.
We will talk about Science Fiction University and having a big summer bash with Drip Glass and all the guys on the dorm room floor talking about
That would be just
Winter Soldier, I think is a good topic.
a
Oh,
great,
love it.
relaxing, good time just to kick back and not talk about fucking Trump for like 5 minutes. That'd be great.
Isn't that the
That's
best?
the goal.
Mhm.
That's the goal.
Well, you guys have been great. Sorry that I was just talking about me the whole time.
You're good.
I know, I'm having fun.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna now that you go, I'm gonna talk about myself some more. So this is gonna be awesome. I hope our friend sticks around.
All right.
You guys
Bye.
take
See you
care,
later.
and I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye. All right, talking more about me. Excellent. I've had a couple of fun people in here today. Really appreciate it. Those guys are awesome. Sorry, I'm just going to say it. I know I interrupt too much, and I always apologize for that. I work on it, but it will never be I ask a question and then people go on for a while. If I've got context to add, if I've got a story to add, other stuff, it's always going to be a two-way conversation. So I hope you like that. I'll ask you guys kindly. We're not doing our Jerry Maguire yet, but please, we've gotten a few things, but not that much. If we can get even a few Patreon subscribers to get a super chat or a super sticker, 99, 199, anything helps. That helps me get the new computer, and then we stop having the problems that are the problems. But I want to talk quickly about America and Donald Trump and toxic masculinity. We're going to make this one a very quick rant. Donald Trump yesterday showed what an utter pathetic art of the deal, more like art of the heel. What a loser he is. Now, he doesn't know how to negotiate. He doesn't know how to threaten people. He really doesn't know how to do much of anything. He doesn't know how to sit around with his large Jabba-esque body and taking as much KFC crispy thigh grease as possible and watch Fox and Friends in a loop. He's pretty good at that. He's pretty good at complaining, whining, crying like a baby, talking like a baby, being stupid, getting into all sorts of fights with people. And yes, threatening people with tariffs. He thinks that makes him a man. It makes him a man to threaten people, to tell people he's going to harm them in some way. Makes Donald Trump feel alive. He's alive when he does that. They're paying attention to me. They're looking at me. Oh my God, me, the little narcissist, that little loser that got kicked out of school and had to go to military school. And my dad told me he never loved me. And I was just spare parts and to my brother. And nobody in business has ever liked me. And I don't really, okay. Donald Trump he needs people to pay attention to him. He needs people to even if they're fighting with him. And then he gets angry at them and attacks them. But he will take any attention. So I'm angry. Oh, my daughter's attracted to Justin Trudeau because he's hotter than I am. And, Donald Trump would like to spend more time with Ivanka. And he can't because she's looking at posters of Justin Trudeau. So we're going to slap tariffs on these guys. And he thinks it makes him a big, tough man. Look at me. I'm threatening them. My country's bigger. I'm tougher. They can't do anything. Man, they can't fight back. What's her name? Scheinbaum. Is she Jewish? The one in Mexico? By the way, she is, which is sort of hilarious. They got a Jewish president before us. Trudeau. What is that? German? Actually, it's more like French Canadian, but that's what Trump would probably say. Oh, those losers. Right. They played him like a freaking fiddle. The two of them sat there, probably got together and talked amongst themselves, laughed at him, sat there and said, fine. We're going to target the red states. And they did. Every single thing they were looking at slapping massive tariffs on were red state products that would harm Trump the most. We need, by the way, also lumber from Canada. Take that away while you're also deporting workers. You get housing prices that go through the roof. Construction stops. People lose jobs. I know normal people get that. Donald Trump was in the building industry and should get that. but he's like not real. The opposite of what he once said. I'm like really smart. He's like not really smart. He's great at talking about sharks and batteries and the interaction thereof, but not so smart about our economy. So he threatens them. The Dow crashes. Who knows? Probably bet against our markets and made some money. But in the end, he got down and begged them for forgiveness, got down on his little knee pads and said, okay, I won't do anything. Just don't hurt us. Don't turn off our electricity, which Canada could actually do to the northern part of the United States. What do you call that? He caved in. He kneeled down. He kneeled before Zod, okay? He kissed their butts. He's the capo de tutti capo of wuss, all right? What is he? What else is he? Like, come up with your own nickname for what kind of wimp he is. Want to kiss this guy? Better get on your knees, boy. It's my quick you too. Okay, so what ends up happening with little Johnny Trump? Well, he's made to look like a fool. He begs them, and he shows how weak he is. How does he think that's strong? He's like, I won. Look what they agreed to do. They agreed to put a fentanyl advisor in Canada. There's gonna be some guy named Bob, and they're gonna be like, hey, you're the fentanyl advisor today. Hey, Dave, it's you tomorrow. They agreed to put troops on the border. Canada had already said they were going to do that in December. Mexico agreed. This is the best one. Mexico agreed to put 10,000 troops on the border. They actually had agreed in the past to put 13,000. So now they took away 3,000 from what they had promised, and Donald Trump considers that a win. It's not a win. He lost. He's a loser. He thinks by standing up and being a tough guy and by pretending you have strength that you don't or money that you don't, you win. What it ends up doing is bankrupting you 6 times, making you get impeached 2 times, making you become a felon, making your wives leave you. Everyone hates you. And in the end, destroy your Republican, your own party, and just a bunch of creeps that turn every once in a while when you're on the ballot. Weird incels help you win. But you destroy everything else. And the epitome of all of it is you're weak. You're a wuss. You're a wimp. You're a word I would use, but I'm not going to use that word here. You're flaccid, okay? You're corpulent. You're squishy. You're sad. They made you look like the pathetic loser that inside, deep inside, you know you are, which is why you start all those fights to get that attention to begin with. And that has been our quick talk about Donald Trump's failed tariffs. All right, guys, we are at 3:54. This time, that means we can't go above 2 hours. I can't show this again. I can't show the without cutting some stuff out, the live stream again. Maybe I could just cut out the part at the beginning where I was like, with the lights. But you know what? I think we're gonna have to to end up calling it a day because I got all the stuff I got to do. I've enjoyed all of this, but who's coming with me, guys? Come on, please. Who's coming with me? Who's coming with me? I need someone. Who's coming with me? Who's coming? Is the goldfish coming with me? 99-cent super sticker. I could leave with that. I could leave with a Patreon. Lefty Gramps. Keep up the good work, Cliff. Great show. Thank you. We did have a couple of technical challenges and, whatever, but loved our guests. They're awesome people. And I'm glad you guys did too. Anyone else coming with me? One more. Patreon subscription, a 99-cent sticker, I don't know. What do you got? Is it just me, Lefty Gramps, and the goldfish living together? Is that all it is? Looks like it might be. Okay. You know me. I'm not going to sit here and keep pushing this whole thing. What I am going to do, though, is going to thank you for being here. And if you give me something on the way out, I will make sure to announce and say how great you are. So it's not too late till the end for one of you to come with me. But seriously, thank you. Awesome talking to Drift Glass and Blue Gal today. Awesome talking to you. What I'm going to try to do, because I will have time tomorrow, is to try to work out this whole microphone thing in terms of not having the shadow on me. In fact, I'm going to do it right now, probably when we get off this show. Thank you, Sheldon, for the $2. See, that's perfect. Cliff, great show. $2 super chat. You are perfect. I love you, Sheldon. Again, you are somewhere in the number 3 or number 4 slot with Mr. McAndrews and a couple other folks here who've been awesome and kind and have helped this show keep going. We'll back tomorrow. I told you I am contemplating whether I'm going to have to move the show down by a half hour to an hour. Right now, I'm not saying I'm going to do that yet. Karen Klein, 149 Super Sticker, thank you. Super Sticker, I'm losing the pronunciation. But yeah, I will absolutely be here tomorrow. The initial plan is, we'll see how long the show goes and what I can do. You will appreciate what I do. Diane, thank you. 199, I told you, always comes in at this point. But you will appreciate it because I've got something big going on. I think it's going to benefit our entire community. And that's really all I can say about it right now. Then I will be able to do much more stuff in the long run. And the long run is what matters because, hey, the children are our future, as Whitney Houston said. And I agree with that. So, guys, thanks for being here. Seriously, thanks for enjoying the show. Thanks for supporting me. And Jim, thanks for the moderating, other mods, and my friends, as the sun sets slowly in the west, I must bid you a fond farewell.